topic of today's webinar. So we are going to present Extend the Power of Rescue, a look into the Supercharged functionality. And for today's speakers, we have Katie Stewart. She is our Senior Product Marketing Manager for LogMeIn Rescue. And then we also have Laura Lieber. She is our Senior Solution Consultant here at GoTo. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hi, thanks,
Hello.
Maria.
Of course, I'll send it off to both of you. Take it over from here.
Great, thank you. So hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Katie Stewart. Like Maria said, I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager with Rescue. I've been here at the company for a little over a decade and just so excited to be here with you today to talk to you about the new packages and powerful features in LogMeIn Rescue. And I'm also really excited to have Laura here with me. So Laura, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah, glad to be here. I'm based in the Boston area. I've also been here for a decade or two, and I've been working with the ITSG products, and I'm glad to go in and show you everything on the rescue side today that's new and exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. So a lot happening in rescue. So like she said, we can't wait to jump in. But before we do, we have a mix of individuals participating on the webinar today. So we have both loyal customers that have been with us for a while, and it's great. I'm looking at the people joining. It's great to see some familiar names pop up. And we also have people that maybe don't know as much about rescue. So I just want to take a second and establish a foundation to get everyone kind of on the same page. And for those that aren't as familiar with rescue, give you a really high level understanding of everything that rescue does. So at its core, it's a technical remote support product. But really, we know not all remote support products are built equal. Sure, they all offer remote control, but there's so many other things, both in session and under the hood, which really makes Rescue kind of stand head and shoulders above the rest, from its flexibility, customization, and security within the solution. So just to mention a few things, Rescue offers everything for multi-platform coverage with your Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, Linux, Chromebook capabilities. You have the ability to actually brand and customize your ecosystem with workflows that you might need for different reps, different entry points, different customers. There's unattended for any devices with no limits or restrictions on in-session functionality. We'll cover a lot of our AI functionality today on the webinar. And then we know that everything doesn't always need that big kind of sledgehammer remote control get in there. Sometimes you can pinpoint or resolve issues with, diagnostics, scripting capabilities that you can do in the background, which save you time. And we're also going to talk a lot about security today, but Rescue offers ample security capabilities when it comes to things like granular permissions, audit reports, SSO, AD sync. And then we also include camera share functionality with Rescue, Rescue Lens capability that's included in the product. So a lot more than just your basic break fix remote control. Everything really can take your support to the next level, save you time, make your team more efficient, and really just delight the end users. Okay, so with that out of the way, we know what Rescue is. Let's get to the topic of today. And those are our new packages and what we call our Rescue Plus packages. And it's about leveling up what you can do with Rescue. So there's 3 new offerings that we have added to Rescue, and maybe there's one of these that are interesting to you, one of them that you're looking for, or potentially all of them. So we're going to just take them one by one. And the first one we're going to talk about is AI. No one's talking about AI these days. I'm sure you guys haven't heard anything about it. But our AI package is really targeted to lean into in-session functionality. And we're going to dive into what that means and how these features can help you streamline support sessions. Next is enhanced security. We're really excited to introduce this enhanced security package because it adds another layer or an additional layer of security for organizations that are looking for it. So maybe people who are looking to lock their environment down a bit more. And then our translation package. And this would be more for organizations that are operating globally and have end users or customer support technicians that are global. Something like this is going to, assist support sessions, saving significant dollars along the way, which we know is always nice. And so the plan for today is I'll go over each one of the packages, tell you the features that are in them, and then Laura will get to show you some exciting demos. And you'll actually get to see these features live in action, but I just want to give you some base knowledge first before that. Like I said, the first one we're going to jump into is AI. But before I do, I'd love to just know for those here today listening in, have you adopted AI into your technical support operations? Be a simple yes or no. I'm not sure, Laura, if it's the same for you, but I know when I'm talking to a lot of customers, I see a lot of people still in that upswing of adoption or interest, probably more like cautious optimism.
I think so. Everyone wants to use it, has started to dabble in it a little bit, but aren't sure always of the best methods to deploy it throughout the whole organization.
Agreed. And like how complicated, what about privacy, security, what's happening to data? So we do get those concerns and we're here and I'm excited, I don't know, Laura, about you, but to show them some of these AI features and how easy and simple they are to actually use.
Yeah, yeah. In the world of rescue, it's so easy and it's just a time saver. It makes you much more efficient.
Exactly. I think we've gotten a lot of votes. If we want to go ahead and launch those, to launch the poll results. So I know we have a lot of larger organizations here, and I know there are people trying to push boundaries with AI. I see about 33% of people have adopted it already, and about 67 that haven't. So maybe if you have not adopted it, there's some new tools here that will show you that maybe you can add to your tool belt, dip your toes in the AI. All right, so what is our AI package? So really what we focus on for this new AI offering is in speaking with our customers, a majority of rescue sessions are run like an L1 type scenario. So it's, like a junior operator or junior technician, maybe those a little less skilled or knowledgeable that are that first line of defense. They're that first one that's tackling the queue. Um, However, a lot of businesses don't want to have to escalate to that next level. You're looking for that initial agent to solve the issue and not needing to progress it to L2s, to L3s, to field technicians. And so we want to figure out how we can help supercharge or superpower these agents and also maybe reduce some of the work. And so with this functionality we're bringing to the AI package is really aimed specifically at that. We have things like session summary, device analysis, screen analysis, and an AI integration with ServiceNow. And the idea is to reduce manual repetitive work that goes into resolving an issue or a case. And like I said, bridge that knowledge gap between L1 and those maybe more senior technical individuals. Um, so let's get into what those features are. So the first one I want to talk about is session summaries, and it does exactly what you think it do. We know a lot goes into a remote session, and at the end of a session, with a click of a button, you can generate a comprehensive summary of everything that went on in that session. So not just your chat log, not just potential device information, but even actions that are taken while remote controlling a device. So you hear a lot of these session notes and after session things can take anywhere from 4 to 10 minutes to write up. If you're a team that's having dozens of calls a day, hundreds of calls, that adds up very quickly. You're not getting off the call and getting on to troubleshoot another ticket or another call. You're putting yourself in an away time so that you can write everything that just happened. And the trade-off seems to be reducing average handle time or detailed good notes, but it's tough to have both. So with our session summaries, it allows you to streamline that process and reduce that manual work. So you can even see the session summary, do some editing of it, and then post it back to your case. So this allows you to have better notes, better, processes, better clarification, this kind of standardization of knowledge and capturing all the details. So, reps no longer have to ask, what's most important? What should I or shouldn't I be capturing? What do I need to remember for my notes? What would be important if they call in again that someone else needs to see? So it really does help with that standardization of the notes and the documentation process to reference later for auditing purposes or, whatever the case might be. So next we have screen and device analysis. So I'm putting both of these together because they solve similar problems, but in different ways. So if we start with the AI device analysis, for those of you that are familiar with Rescue, and I mentioned it earlier, Rescue can do a lot of things and pull a lot of information without actually needing to go into a remote control session. If you want to see services that are running, errors that are being thrown, general device help, you can just click in and request these details to be pulled up. What the AI device analysis is it does this with one click. It will comb through the surface and surface up critical information that you should be looking at. You don't have to go in and hunt for any of these things. It's just one click. So let's say that someone gets that all too familiar ticket of, my computer's running slow. So that could be so many things, but now it's one click. So maybe it won't give you the exact answer, but maybe it would at least help you eliminate things, right? Instead of taking those manual steps and going one by one to kind of run through each one, potentially yourself, now you can click and it will give you that information. You can initiate this right before you jump into a session, or maybe even during the remote session when you realize, okay, maybe my normal troubleshooting steps didn't work. And then on the other hand, we have screen analysis. So a common thing that does happen when you're troubleshooting devices, particularly Windows devices, is if you get this kind of cryptic error code, you might be something like, 98x123, and it's on you or your agents to kind of go off and start saying, what the heck does this mean? Maybe start Googling it. So now techs are toggling somewhere else and trying to open up other windows to track down what this error code means, and it's definitely delaying things. So with screen analysis, it allows you to take this quick snapshot that will then interpret the content that's on the screen. But really the key for this is if there is an error code, not only can it say what it is, but can it also take it a step further and recommend different remediation steps. So it just doesn't tell you what the problem is. It also says, hey, try a couple of these things to troubleshoot. So that's kind of my brief overview. And if you think it sounds cool, you should see the way it looks. So I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to hand this over to Laura now because there's a lot here and we want to show it in action.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're ready to see things here. And what I'm going to do is just bring us into the console where I have an agent and an end user. And I think for rescue customers, this will look a bit familiar, but for those who haven't yet used it, this is just the experience of connecting in. So I'm going to use a calling card today just to make my life a little easier on the keyboard. I'm going to launch into session. We can see it connecting over here, and I'm going to go ahead and join that session with start session. So we're just going to connect these two devices together. You can see here the interface starts coming into play where I can decide if I'm going to do a view only or remote control. I'll go ahead and remotely control it. And of course, in this method, it's permission based. So the end user has to say yes, that they know I'm coming in, and then I'll be able to remotely control their machine. So let's go ahead and make this a bit bigger. And a couple of things that we're going to see here. So Katie mentioned that all too obscure error message that can come through. So I'm going to generate one here just so we have one available. And something like this is coming up on the screen. If I didn't know what this was and I want to save a little time, I now have this Analyze Screen button. So it tells me what it is by selecting it. I'm going to be able to go in and select that particular error that I see, wherever it may be. And then it's going to process and use AI to give me a full analysis and also steps to remedy the problem. So what we'll see here on the right-hand side are errors of what this is. It tells me a little bit of things I need to do: verify the file path, reinstall the application, check the antivirus quarantine. So I'm able to do all of this. So if I were getting ready to troubleshoot it, I can now start walking through the file paths and verify all of the steps that it's looking for here. So that's a big time saver. I didn't have to go elsewhere out of the session to look that up. I can continue to use that over and over within the session. Now, the other thing I can do when I'm troubleshooting, some random pop-ups like this is determine maybe how this system is configured. A lot of times it comes down to system resources. We know that. So the system info button comes into play. This is kind of the second part we have here, where I can go in and get the device health and all these other features that Rescue has, processes, services, etc. But this main dashboard is going to be the key. This is where I can see everything taking place. As you can see, it's quite comprehensive. It's maybe a lot to look at initially. So by clicking Analyze, I'm now able to go through and wait for that to run and get a paragraph that tells me what's happening on this system. So rather than having to look through every critical event, every CPU piece of information that's listed here, we'll get the needs attention device health summary that we see here. So we see right away the issues highlighted. We see recommended action. So we can do things like share this, copy it, paste it over into the chat and share it with the end user, or just know quickly what I need to do to resolve this issue. Huge time saver here. That's a big piece for me. Helps me troubleshoot when I'm ready. I can kind of get back into session here, walk through those recommended actions, or when I'm ready to end the session, I can get that summary that we were talking about. So a couple of things that you might have seen here along the menu are quick keys, but history and notes is going to be a place where we can add our own notes. We can see a history of everything that's taking place, but this generates summary. This is the third piece of AI that's going to go through and give you a summary of everything that's taken place. Now, this can happen at the end of the session so that you have it. It's tracked, so it's going to be stored in the reporting areas too. When we're looking at reports and we want to know the session summary, it's going to show us not only the session details that we've had in the past, but it's going to put this session summary as part of the notes. So what's nice here, we can see everything that took place, the steps that I took. I can edit this before I share it out. I can regenerate it in any way I want to. There's a quick copy button here. So if I was ready to maybe share that with someone, I can go ahead and do so, and they would have an indication of what has been taking place, what I worked on. Here, I've just really, I'm stayed in session and I've generated as I'm actively working on it. But that's a way that you could do it kind of piece by piece, or you could have a full end of session summary. So the AI, as you see, is really powerful. There's a lot of steps for me to quickly check and make sure I'm not missing anything. And the idea is that for the end user, it's just seamless. We've just been in a session here with their desktop. They don't see me referencing any of those tools, and I'm able to efficiently solve the problem. All right, Katie, back to you for the next pieces.
Awesome, thank you. No matter how many times I see it, as someone who I actually was an L1 agent at one point, I just think about how much time this would have saved.
Yes, exactly. That first call resolution, we want to up that.
Exactly.
Or decrease the time. Yeah.
And so we have one more AI feature that we want to talk about today, and that's our AI ServiceNow integration. So as most of you, maybe some of you already know, our Rescue already has a ServiceNow integration. We know ServiceNow is the market leader in record keeping, but by creating an AI ServiceNow integration, it delivers greater efficiency to enable smarter troubleshooting and instant documentation. So you can synchronize AI session summaries into the ServiceNow incident. You can analyze remote screens, interpret errors using the ServiceNow ticket data and the linked KB articles. So not only pulls in ticket information, but you have your knowledge base within ServiceNow and you can leverage that. So if you're already using the Rescue ServiceNow integration, you were streamlining your workflows, launching rescue sessions right from within ServiceNow. But with this, you can improve operational efficiency. Like Laura just said, you can save time, resources, keep everything in one place, and then you can build up your ServiceNow knowledge base by using these Rescue AI session summaries. So I'm going to invite Laura back.
Yeah. Let's go back in and see more efficiencies, this time with those who have invested in an expensive, great tool like ServiceNow. You want to be able to utilize everything that you're doing in it. Maybe you have a detailed knowledge base. All of your tickets, cases come from that. We're going to walk through exactly what this would look like. So let me go ahead and share the process here. And I know you're seeing a blank screen, but here we go. So now we're going to walk into ServiceNow first. This will be the area for those who aren't familiar with ServiceNow where you have your tickets. This is my ticket history. This is what a case or ticket looks like. I'm typing in the problem here where I have an issue seeing the font on the screen. I give it a bit of a description. And now I'm submitting that out, but I want to generate a session so that you can work with me and help troubleshoot this issue. So we've clicked on the button to the rescue pin code. We've generated the pin code. We can go out to our rescue portal, enter it in, and join that session. So what you're seeing here is an ad hoc session being run. They're downloading the encryption key and everything we need to have it secure as we get into session, such as how we ran it before. And now the agent is going to connect in and begin the troubleshooting. So we'll chat a little bit, let you know what I'm doing. I'm able to take remote control. Again, with the permission based, you have to okay that. And as we come into the session here, I can now walk through my troubleshooting. So I'll fix this problem that you had with the font where it was too small. Just go into system display here and make that a bit larger so that we can continue working in the session. This is something that's simple, but if you didn't know where the display settings are, this is what you have to walk through. So now I'll chat back, that I've resolved the issue. I can go ahead and end the session or continue on with anything else that we need to do. Once the session ends, there's that system summary that comes up generated by AI. This is a beautiful piece that we mentioned is trackable and reporting, but with the ServiceNow integration, this is history. This summary is going to be pulled into the case. The full history of everything that we did to resolve the issue comes in. And you can see it takes kind of the subject matter of what we did, because that was a question that was asked of us by the ServiceNow ticket, and it matching what we see here for description. So it's a beautiful synergy between the two, tying that title over. And now back in the ticket, we can see that the system summary has come in. It's time stamped with the steps we have walked through, and you have everything at hand from a ServiceNow view. So this in itself really makes life as a ServiceNow technician simple. It's very easy to go in and launch sessions. Okay, Katie, back to you.
Just give me a second to pull up my screen here.
Sure.
What I really like about, yeah, I was going to say, what I really like about this one is it just feels like it takes all of them and it's just really this end-to-end, this deeper story, this deeper integration with ServiceNow. All right. So next, let's move on to enhanced security. So from AI to the other topic that I really think is top of mind is, like I just said, security. We're excited to announce these enhanced or extra security capabilities with Rescue. So what is this enhanced security package? What functionality does it offer, or what additional layers of protection does it provide? Like I mentioned earlier, this package is really focused around scam protection. So those kind of social engineering attacks, because unfortunately, the sophistication of a lot of these malicious actors, hackers, phishing individuals have really gotten really good. It's pretty amazing. And so you can just imagine that there are many people out there that are becoming susceptible from even an employee standpoint, where they're kind of spoofing your company. And this happens to companies of all sizes. And so what we're really looking for are ways that we could help extend the capabilities of Rescue to help cover a lot of those issues. With things like device-based restricted access package, IP-based restricted access, generic enterprise domain, company PIN code validation, and approved host for PIN entry. So really all of these are protecting you against social engineering. So I keep saying enhanced security package, but does that mean that Rescue isn't secure if I don't have this package? No, not at all. I want to make sure that that is 100% clear. Even without our enhanced security package, Rescue is the security leader in remote support. With its best-in-class security, you'll see better than any remote support product out there. With Rescue, the environment is locked down with 40 plus different tech and admin-based permissions so that they can't do certain things in certain sessions or run things, permissions that protect your customers and protect your organization. We don't think that we should be charging extra for basic authentication materials. So things like MFA and SSO, they're included with Rescue, unlike some other companies out there. We have very detailed audit reports. I mean, there's, I think, 12 or 13 different reports general across Rescue with 2 specific kind of auditing. We have single-use applets and PIN codes. Other companies out there kind of reuse applications. And then that leaves another front door into a system or pins that last for too long or can be reused. Just leaving these small little entry points for organizations to come in. So if you're setting up unattended, we require the host device credentials, not just the rescue credentials. And again, another functionality that you think is common sense, but unfortunately there are some solutions out there that once it's deployed, if you have the tool's password, you just get in. We require that additional level, that computer password. So this is basic rescue. This has nothing to do with the package. What we're going to talk about today is this additional functionality when you want to go above and beyond that. As I mentioned, really around scam protection. And so maybe for smaller companies or certain places, it's not as much of a priority, but definitely for larger enterprises or regulated industries, we're talking, you know, like healthcare or finance or something like that, that you need to go the extra level. So with a lot of this, although it's really exciting, we can't truly demo it because we're not malicious actors, and seeing it work would mean that you actually don't see anything. But Laura is going to jump in because I'm just giving you the high level, but she can get really detailed and walk you through kind of the benefits and the value props of each one of these. So I'm going to invite Laura back here.
Okay. Yeah, it is funny. For demoing, you cannot really show it all that well because you don't take an action when things are working, as Katie said. So this first one is, I would say, the most popular feature of the security add-on here, which is what we lovingly call DRAP, our device-based restricted access package. This is one where really what we're going to do is we're going to add a validation hash to devices so that the device is only going to receive rescue sessions that are generated from the account that generated the MSI. So it's going to be a way that wherever you're located, it's only coming from your account. So it works well in the scenario where we have ad hoc sessions or unattended. It is an additional MSI that's put out there. So groups that use this might be internal IT, MSPs. You're only accepting sessions from them. With things like if you're going out to anyone who's outside of your account, they just simply cannot get to that endpoint. So on this diagram that we see here, we have the initiation, approved technician gets connected in, but in the blue, the other technician who's coming in is not going to be authorized. You're just simply not going to be able to make a connection. It doesn't work. We just keep them out entirely. So that's DRAP. The other piece that we have in here that comes with security, and when you get security, you can deploy any of these. There's quite a few, so it'll be up to you what you determine works best for your organization. But the spotlight that we have here is company PIN code validation. So with company PIN code validation, this is probably good for customer support, internal IT. It's going to redirect and include the PIN code check to validate the account. So what we're doing is we're minimizing that potential of the bad actors coming in. And what we can do is take the HTML snippet that you kind of would have for self-hosting pages. It's going to be an additional line of code that has this validation string. so that when you put that string on your own HTML page, that's kind of technically how it's happening behind the scenes. But really, for the user trying to be malicious or coming into a session they shouldn't, they will be blocked. They will not be able to come in. So we're not going to disrupt the end user experience on the self-hosted platforms. Everyone that should come in that way can, but the folks that should not cannot. So that's pin code validation. The third one that we're talking about today is this approved hosts for pin code entry. So we have a lot of customers that host their own custom landing pages, and pin codes generated from those accounts are submitted over to the rescue agent. This is a way to make sure that, one, you keep consistent branding, because what would happen is that the sessions are only accepted from your website. So if it's abc.com, well, that's probably a real website. I was trying to give a fake one, but if it's yourcompany.com and we try to go out there and put in an entry, we'll get connected in if you're a valid rescue customer. But if I go out to a different website, like maybe LogMeIn123.com, and get connected in, I will not be able to. So it would redirect me instead to my company.com website where it should be entered, and that way we're keeping you in that page always, so you really have the consistent branding and messaging that you want. And it wouldn't stop you if you ever ran a session with another organization that might use rescue from putting their account information into LogMeIn123 and joining. So you still have that option if you have people kind of running multiple supports with different people. This one is pretty flexible in that regard. So this is a great way just to make sure that we get to your website, you only come in that way, but you still have the flexibility of going elsewhere. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura.
You're
I
welcome.
feel like it's the kind of the opposite, these last two. One restricts you and the other allows you in.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Whichever you
both keep you
prefer.
protected. Yeah, exactly. Now there are two, I'd love to ask you, Laura, there are two that we didn't cover. And that would be the IP restricted access package.
Yeah.
And it's that because it's, it's a little like the device-based restricted access package, except we're talking about IPs. Or could you give a little clarification to that?
Yeah, so this is a really specific use case. If we're going to use IP-based restricted access, you must own your own static IP addresses. So it's not going to work for dynamic IPs, like what you get from your ISP. You can't use a proxy IP like Zscaler that might change often. So if that is a condition you have, it's not going to be for you. But if you do have static IPs, it is going to lock it down to the IP on tech side or end user side. Everybody must be on the same network. It has to be, from our standpoint of implementing, a real careful entry, because we want to make sure that the IPs are exact and we don't potentially lock out something we shouldn't.
That's great. So, I mean, it sounds then most people then would go for the easier route, which would be the device-based restricted access package, because instead of needing that IP, you can actually, it's a little simpler on your end.
And it's going to work with those ever-changing IPs that we get every time we boot up our computer and connect.
Great. Thank you. And then the other one was the enterprise domain. I don't know
Yeah.
if you want to touch on that.
Sure, sure. So some folks might be familiar that we have secure.logmeinrescue.com that would allow you to come in with a pool of people that are coming in through a secure connection. This takes that pooling with other customers into more of an enterprise domain flag. So we're gonna block public facing rescue URLs like the secure logmeinrescue.com. We have something different, and it's going to be an exclusive door that allows access, the same service that you've been accessing, but we're not really blocking anything else. It'll be up to you as a customer to block any vanity URLs or regular URLs in your own network. but it is another secure way just to make sure there are more layers to that connection and validations taking place.
That's great. Thank you. I know, again, these are really hard to showcase, but I think
Yeah,
you really explained them well, and hopefully people understand the value. So appreciate it.
gladly.
All right, so now we've talked about AI, we've talked about enhanced security, and the third package is our live translation package. Like I said in the beginning, this would be really for those global organizations or companies that are looking to expand their support in a scalable way. So what is Live Translation Package? And it is made up of two really powerful features. The first is live screen translation, and the second is live chat translation. So live screen translation is broken down into two parts. And first we have your error messages. So with this feature, you can instantly translate any of the selected text on your screen, allowing you to reduce session handle time as you don't have to change systems as it'll pick up automatically. And the second screen translation provides is browser text. So you have the ability to instantly translate the entire screen. There's no need for a third-party tool. So with both of these, you have your technician, you can work in their native language, and the messaging can be translated back. It helps you to potentially scale a lot faster without needing for satellite offices or different regions, or you don't need to outsource. And you wouldn't need a third-party translation service, which is costly and at the end of the day could potentially hurt your brand, right? Because you have someone else representing you. And then we also have, like I said, live chat translation. I'm getting tongue-tied here, which allows you to translate chat conversations in real time, powered by Google Translate. So these features mean, faster sessions and the less things, pardon my pun, lost in translation. And it really does delight the end users. They don't have to force themselves to engage in a different language and talk in a different language. They can talk in their native language. They can keep their computer in their native language. They don't have to change their browser. Texts that go in don't have to try to change the browser and change it back or anything like that. It provides a seamless level of support. And so I will let Laura take it over one more time to demo these features.
Okay, great. Yeah. This is a fun one to demo, and let me go ahead and share my entire screen so we can get back into the session side by side here. So we still have a session going. On the right here, I have the user. On the left, I have the agent. And this is, you might have noticed when we were looking at the chat bar on the far left here, that there is real-time translation. This is something that's been enabled and is available in the chat dialog. So there are settings for here that tie into Google, and you see here there are so many different languages that we can pull from. Or if you knew what language someone was coming in as, you can go ahead and set that at default. So here in Boston, sometimes we work with Quebec a lot, and that has to be in French. But if I'm not a native French speaker, it's going to be a little difficult for me. So I might come in here and say, hi, how are you? As we get into session. And again, this is just for chat where it's going through and translating. And we'll be able to see on this screen that you have the salute, comment vas-tu, coming in here. So that's instantaneous, makes it nice. Also, if they're typing in French, I'll do something simple here like très bien, merci, and they go ahead and send that over. It comes in translated. Now, if I know a little French and want to see it, I don't have to have the translation. I have this little throttle that lets me toggle, but I generally like to go back and forth this way. So then the other thing you might notice is that as I'm working on their screen, there is some French on here that I might not be able to read and comprehend. So I have an option that's been added in to enable screen translation. So it's different than that analyze screen where we had the error message. This one is going to analyze the text. Then the text could be coming from an app. It could be anything that you have on the desktop. It could be coming from text, a Word document. It could be coming from a website like it is here. It's all real time. And as you notice at the bottom of the screen, it now says that I can hold down the control key to begin translating. So what that's going to do is let me hover and hit control. And as you see, the translation comes in right on the screen. Now, this is not visible for the end user. They don't know that I'm seeing that. It's just something to help me understand as I'm scrolling through and looking at different areas, and I really want to understand what the words are. So this is wonderful in that it can go through the variety of language that we saw there. This happens to be French, that's scenario, but it could go through Japanese, it can go through extended characters, and really help you when you're working with people who are speaking different native languages or have different native keyboards. And it brings it all together to make your session as efficient as possible. Very powerful translation.
Yes. And all right on your same tool, which is even more amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to definitely jump over to Q&A. So wait, let me bring back, because I do have one more question for you. So just, would you like a personalized demo? We'd like to know, if you'd like any kind of personalized demo, anything we showed you today to discuss other functionality that you might be curious about. One of our experts, maybe Laura, will jump in and walk you through and answer any specific questions. So we'll just give you a second to answer that, and then we'll jump over to Q&A. So if you haven't submitted your questions yet, definitely do that. And I'm just pulling them up now. We can end that poll. Okay, it looks like we have a few coming in. This is a great question. So what are the privacy controls in AI?
Yeah, a common question.
Yes.
For privacy controls with AI, people think, oh my goodness, you're looking at my data, you're looking at the sessions I'm running, you're going to understand far too much about my organization, and that's going to be a security risk for me. But we have controls around that. So and we have a lot of documentation to share with you around that too, should you need it. But we are not learning from your data. It's not being pushed into our AI and building our AI repository based on your session data. The privacy is intact in that your data is your data. It stays segmented from the AI we're using. Our AI is using some internal filters, public filters. We have support articles even that kind of come into play with that, but it's all owned on the LogMeIn side. So your data definitely stays separated from that, and you can be ensured that your privacy will never be compromised.
100%. And like you said, that we have a ton of information on that. We have terms and more on our website. Also, if you're talking to anyone like your sales agent or someone like Laura and you ask for more information, we have like documents that we can send you, because we know a lot of companies, especially when you're adopting AI, have a lot of strict rules they have to go through and get approvals. So we can send that along for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I see a question too, Katie, coming in about correlations with Resolve. And from a rescue standpoint, everything is remote support that we've been talking about here. Resolve also has remote support, so there's an overlap on that piece. But things like knowledge-based remote management and monitoring tools are part of our Resolve IT stack. So it really is quite a different solution. Although from a remote support standpoint, both tools do provide that functionality.
Exactly. So, they're both part of our LogMeIn tool set. They're both support tools, but I would say that, like you said, Resolve is for different business use cases. Someone who's looking for maybe an all-in-one tool with your help desk, with MSP, all having it in one centralized place, but with maybe a little less when it comes to granular permissions and things like that, where Rescue is more built for that enterprise remote support tool. and integrating into your existing workflows. And so yes, that would probably be the main difference between the two. Both offer great features, and if you are interested in Resolve, we definitely have the same experts who can talk to you about that. Laura also being one of them. And so, if you are interested or trying to see what products best fit for you, or what AI that each one offers, if you have specifics, definitely reach out to us. Ooh, this is a good question, and it means that someone's already talking to us. It says their sales rep mentioned something about AI in the admin center. And what is that? Because we didn't go over that today.
Yeah, so in the admin, we have what we call an AI assistant, and that's to help you get through the admin tasks. It is completely different than the AI that we've been talking about and showcasing for live sessions here today.
Exactly. So the one in the admin center, that's more because we know, Rescue is a powerful tool, and there are, 40 plus different permissions and a lot of customizations, and things can be confusing if you're new. And even if you're a seasoned veteran, maybe you don't know what steps you need to go through. So it's really just that AI assistant that comes, like Laura said, it comes free. It's not part of this package. It's really to help you navigate Rescue. And then also within there is that scripting, because we know scripting can be cumbersome. So there's the bot in there that assists with that. And then you can take that script and edit it or put it in your repository to push out to agents. And it's can be plain English. You don't have to have scripting knowledge, or if you do, it's a good starting point by using by using our scripting tool. But yeah, that's why we didn't mention it today, because it's not part of that package. It's just something complimentary that we offer. It looks like I see another question. This one's on security, and it's a good question. Do you need to implement all of the security controls, or can you choose?
You can choose. So the nice thing is once you have access to the security features, you can determine which one is going to be best for you. So we talked through 5 of those scenarios today, and there may be just one that suits your organization perfectly.
Great. Yep. And they're all included in the package. You can just pick and choose which one you want to turn on. So it's not like you're, paying for one individually. They're all there. And then the other thing I want to mention is they're really easy to turn on. You just have to reach out to us. We would turn them on for you. Then you can set it up. So if you were to select this package, we do have like a getting started guide, so you know what information you need to provide us or what you need to do on your end. And one of the things I see there's another question that came up, and it's not exactly this, but I think it's worth mentioning, Laura, is, we talked about integrating with ServiceNow knowledge base and getting those ServiceNow ticket recommendations and remediation steps. But what about, other knowledge bases or other platforms? And so I think it's worth mentioning that that's on the roadmap. That's coming.
Yeah, I mean that is exciting to think about what is pointing down the road. And certainly, if you've been spending time already internally cultivating your own AI and your own knowledge base, it is going to be a wonderful way to point to what you've already built.
Exactly. So you can expect that in 2026. Obviously, it takes a little more work to start integrating your knowledge base, so the team's hard at work and getting that live. And keep an eye out for roadmap updates that we send out. So that's all the questions I'm seeing here. If anyone, we can take another second to see if anyone submits anything. But really, I just want to thank you all for joining us. And I hope that you're as excited about these new packages and new features as Laura and I.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I know a lot happening with Rescue. And just really, it's great to see just the way we're trying to help alleviate some of the issues that we know, pain points that we know are out there.
Anything we can do to make the day in the life of someone troubleshooting difficult problems and questions and tasks easier is a win in my book.
And those managing them.
Yes, true.
All right, well, I don't see any new questions coming in, so I think we can go ahead and end this webinar. And again, thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.